Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. Welcome to 24K Reviews, movies and TV shows. We're going to try a new format for once. We got a little different hookup. Normally we use the cell phone and go through the cell phone. Well, you don't need to know logistics. But I'm just going to say welcome. I know it's been a while, but we are back and we are going to do this. So, if you could not tell, what you're looking at in the background is Wolf Like Me, a Peacock original. Came out January 13th. Now, I, unlike a lot of people, and maybe like a lot of people, didn't even know this existed. I actually was coming across YouTube's and I saw a trailer for it and I thought it looked pretty interesting. Isla Fisher is definitely one of my favorites. Oh, by the way, it stars Isla Fisher and Josh Gad. I don't like Josh Gad. I mean, he killed it as Olaf, but even still, I could barely stand him. So I didn't expect to like anything with him being the main role. And I was pleasantly surprised. He was definitely out of his acting canon on this one. I started with The Nightmare Creature, and we ended up binge watching the entire series, believe it or not. It's like 6 or 7 episodes. It starts with a little bit, this is not going to be a blow by blow for the entire thing, but there will be spoiler review. So if you don't want spoilers, if you haven't seen it yet, I'll give you the 10 to turn away. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're going to call NASA and that's going to say it's a go. Spoiler is a go. Go flight. So, the series stars Isla Fisher and Josh Gad. Josh Gad is a broken father taking care of his daughter. Him and his daughter have a very strained relationship after the mother passes away from cancer. This is revealed as the series goes on. The little daughter has panic attacks. She has a ton of issues, and we're treated to this as the series goes on. She doesn't have a relationship with anybody else in her life besides her aunt. Psychiatrists, teachers, nobody seems to reach this kid. So during the course of a series of unfortunate events, no pun intended, there's a car accident and Isla Fisher is introduced to the scene by crashing into them. And he's running around crazy. He knows his daughter's going crazy, so he's running around for her book bag so that she has one of her emotional landmarks to help her keep calm. And he comes back to the car and Isla Fisher already has her calm. She's actually smiling. She's actually cool, calm, collective. And Josh Gad has never seen his daughter take to anyone like this. So this is how we're introduced to Isla Fisher, which is funny because as the series goes on, life keeps pushing these people together. There's tons of car accidents, tons of mishaps where they just keep being thrust at each other. I am so sorry. My throat piece is jacked up. But they finally get together and agree to go on a date. And of course, there's weird little signs here, there, and yonder. And she eventually runs off during the course of their date. And he's like, well, it's not going to work out. She's just not a good fit for me and my daughter. Which the little actress, she kills it. I love her. It was actually endearing. Like I said, I wasn't expecting to like the series as much as I did, but I really did. So as the first episode goes on, I'm like, you can tell from the name of the series, Wolf Like Me, it's got to be a werewolf involved. Now, I will tell you, my biggest pet peeve with the werewolf community, I would say in the last 2 decades or so, is they make big, gigantic dogs werewolves. No, that is not a werewolf. That is a big dog, not a werewolf. I'm not smashing Twilight. I'm not smashing all the other movies and TV shows with werewolves, well, what they call werewolves, but I'm from a time where werewolves were scary. They were vicious. You didn't want to go up against them. You didn't want to come up against them in a dark alley. You didn't want to see them in your room. You didn't want to see them down the street. And the 80s and the 90s, 70s, 80s, and 90s killed this aspect. But as we moved into the 2000s, they killed the aspect again by making them just big dogs because they wanted realism for whatever reason. And a 10-foot wolf standing on 2 hind legs with razor sharp fangs and teeth and ears. It's pretty freaking scary. A gigantic cuddly dog is not. So those are not werewolves in the game dojo or 24K films. This werewolf, because you don't get to see him till the very last episode, and I thought that was genius because it keeps you intrigued, because I'm just like, if it's a big dog, I'm gonna hate the series. Because I was going, and I would say about episode 2 or 3, I was really into it, and I was just like, please don't let it be a big dog, please don't let it be a big dog. And I will say I was pleasantly surprised at the last scene and the ending. I will definitely be around for season 2 if this is lucky enough to get a season 2, because nowadays a season is 6 or 7 episodes. You may not see it again until 5 or 6 years later with the writer's strike and the SAG-AFTRA actor strike that's going on now. A lot of projects are put on hold, so I'm glad that there's still some entertaining things that we can take hold of. This is one of them. I recommend this 150,000%. I recommend this. This is a great series. I love the intrigue. It's very entertaining. It is on Peacock, so if you have Peacock, the stream's on Peacock. If you wanted to do a trial for Peacock, I think you should, but this is definitely one of the reasons why you should. There's many more reasons for Peacock. Of all the streaming services that I have, and I'm pretty sure everybody else has, Peacock is one of the ones that I really watch the most. And this is the reason why. Their originals are spot on, and this one was absolutely amazing. As the story moves forward, like I said, it's not a blow by blow. He starts to realize some weird things about her, and then it all leads up to the point where he can't take it anymore. So he finally finds her on a bench, and he goes all out. He bears his soul. He tells her everything about his wife dying and his relationship with his daughter, and him leaving his daughter for a half a year because he just couldn't be around anything that reminded him of his wife. It's a effed up situation. It's effed up, but it was great because it shows two broken people being pulled together. And it's talking about baggage. Now his baggage is easier to handle than hers, because she decides it's time to run off again because she doesn't want to hurt him or his daughter, even though she really loves the girl. She gives a book to the girl. The little girl takes on to the book. The little girl has a relationship, instant chemistry with her. And the actors are really good together. Sometimes you can see them. I mean, I wouldn't think I would see Josh Gad with Isla Fisher. It works better than I expected. They're two polar opposites, but the baggage, the opposites, and this TV series actually connect very well. So when she runs away from the bench, he decides, damn this, I'm going to follow her. So he stalks her, gets into a cab. There's a lot of little funny quips and stuff. So it's not just serious. The thing I like about the series is because it's serious when it needs to be. It's horror, straight up horror at some points. And then it's comedy and comedy relief where it needs to be. But it's the right amount. It's not overbearing like a Marvel movie where the comedy is just thrown in your face and it's just dick and fart jokes. Nothing like that. It's balanced really well, and that's one thing I have to say. Peacock is really good with their originals in doing this. So as he gets to her house, she's coming out of her clothes and dragging chickens and animals through her front door, and he's like, what the hell's going on? Because at this point you're now alluded to learn the fact that she has his car keys when she ran off. So she ran off with his car keys, so he really couldn't go anywhere. But he's trying to figure out what's going on with her, and she's just trying to kick stuff down the stairs and go into this basement. And then finally she was just like, fuck it, this has got to happen, this is where it happens, you're gonna have to see this. So she throws a switch and all the shutters come down and locks him in this house, and she closes the door and locks it, and she changes into a werewolf. So at this point he's locked in with her, but he's safe because she's in the basement area. But for some reason, she put a peephole, which it does come along later. This is what I mean when I say brilliant writing, because later on they allude to that. Now, I'll come back to that. So as the night goes from night till morning, he was supposed to go pick up his daughter because his sister and family wants him to have a life again. It's been years. He didn't want to move on, but they wanted him to move on. So they was okay with the fact, like, stay tonight. It's a great date. Stay tonight. They thought he got lucky. They did not know it was this kind of date. So when morning comes. She starts speaking through him through the peephole, and he's freaked out. He's on the kitchen floor with a knife in his hand, rightly so. I mean, some of us have pretty bad baggage in a relationship. That is kind of hard to handle. But as I said before, these two characters are broken. So because they're broken, it gives them the ability to have common ground in a way that wouldn't normally work in a relationship. And that's genius. So she's worried about him telling that she's a werewolf, and he's worried about her killing him because he knows her secret. So he freaks out, snatches his keys, and runs out the house and was like, yeah, we're never seeing her again. And then she was like, are you going to tell anybody? And he was just like, who would believe me? Which is true, because he could go and tell anybody. I mean, who would believe him? Because he saw her rip apart a goat, which is also part of what he saw and witnessed. So when he runs back to his daughter, he runs the entire way. He never gets his car. He's pretty much done at this moment. Now, his brother-in-law and sister and family thinks that he had like a wild night of sex and frivolity, excuse me, not virality, because she didn't. That's like a whole different. Never mind. Anyways, he can't explain to them because he's still trying to comprehend what happens. So of course he tells his daughter, like, she's not a good fit for us. We're not going to go back to her, because he's terrified. So as he's taking his daughter out to eat because she's still going through issues, they get into another car accident outside of his favorite Italian restaurant. And of course it's Isla Fisher. This time he backs into her. First time she hit him, now he backs into her. The daughter, who is ecstatic, is glad to see her. He is terrified because what he just saw. He saw her turn into a werewolf and mutilate a goat and some chickens. So what ends up happening is he tries to get back in the car and leave, and ends up crashing into the restaurant through the front door. All kind of, that's what I mean when I say it has high moments of comedy, but it's mixed together with actual moments of levity, which is great. Absolutely great. So the little girl goes up to the car and she tries to speed away because she doesn't want this little girl hurt. I mean, how do you explain I'm dating your father and I'm a werewolf? Like, that's some strong subject matter to take on. Not just, I'm not replacing your mom, I'm a werewolf and I could probably eat you. So the little girl talks to her and invites her over to dinner, and she comes over and she brings a favorite book that helped her as a kid, because she's a psychiatrist. Of all things, the werewolf is a psychiatrist. And she starts to bond with the kid. Josh Gad, which I really don't like him in a lot of things. I loved him in this. I could not hate him in this. I really couldn't. He's still trying to deal with the fact that she's in his house after the sun is going down, and he's worried that she's going to kill him and his daughter. But she said she ate on the way over. It's funny. It's the banter back and forth between the two of them. It really works well. Better than I ever expected. So as this relationship goes forward, he realizes that this crazy werewolf woman is literally the best for his daughter, and she realizes at first that life keeps throwing them at each other, and he realizes it too. So he kind of just opens up to the idea of, okay, I know your baggage, you know my baggage, let's see if I can deal with this. So they start dating, and believe it or not, he's the ebb and flow of what her life is. When she comes out in the morning and she's, he has a robe for her and coffee waiting, he washes her hair, like, it becomes more of a nature versus nurture thing. And he keeps using this word, like, we're your pack, and it comes up back and forth that they've been dating each other for a very long time, and they have to tell the daughter, because sooner or later something is going to happen. She just has to know. Now, Isla Fisher's character is worried that it's going to drive the daughter away and destroy their relationship. Josh Gad reiterates that nothing can break them apart, it's a beautiful story of love. I haven't seen anything like this in a really long time. It's very well done, very well written, and very well done. But what ends up happening is they decide they're going to tell her, because Isla Fisher becomes pregnant. And she's worried about killing the baby inside of her. She's worrying about, will the baby be a werewolf? She's worrying about killing Josh Gad, because in one of the conversations of them expressing their lives and struggles, she confesses she ate her previous husband. Yeah. So she ate her previous husband. But he wasn't the right feel for her. Though she said she loved him and he said he loved her, this relationship was meant to be. And you see that from all the different angles in the world. So they decide to go camping, and when they come back from camping, they was going to tell their daughter. Unfortunately, the car breaks down. They're stuck out here, and it's a full moon. And once again, there's nothing can be hidden from it. So she tells him to hide in the car and don't come out. And he's in the car with his daughter, and he can't really explain why she ran off into the darkness. And he tries to call for help, and they're met by a bunch of a-holes, A-grade, top-level, top-shelf a-holes who want to do harm to him and his daughter. And during the course of them screaming for help and the guys trying to break into the car, Isla Fisher shows up full werewolf. And this is one of the times that I was pleasantly surprised with a modern werewolf. She was absolutely frightening. I couldn't believe it. The face, the eyes, the teeth. It wasn't the Harry Potter werewolf. It wasn't the Quarry werewolf. It was an actual, real, according to Hoyle, as they go back in the day, verbatim werewolf. And it was frightening. So, of course, she tears apart the two men. And there's one of the parts where one of the men is slammed against the car and it breaks the glass. So now they're exposed. And their worst fears is she's going to tear them apart. And this is the one thing she was afraid of, terrifying this little girl who she now sees as her daughter, and the little girl now sees her as a surrogate mother. But in a turn of events, she does not attack them. She smells him and howls like she's claiming it's her pack, and then she walks around to the little girl and looks through the open window, and the little girl stares back at her. Now, the little girl is frightened, because anybody would, rightly so. She just tore apart two world-class a-hole turds, but in the same token, she's seeing this being for the first time. And Josh Gad, who at never any point had fear, for some reason he knew inside she wouldn't hurt him, even in a beast form where she killed her husband, her previous husband. She wouldn't harm him because he never shows fear. So he holds his daughter, and Isla Fisher runs off. And of course, sunrise comes, and the daughter asks him, and he says that was her. So remember, I told you when we started dating, well, once a month she becomes a werewolf. And the secret's out. Now the secret is out. The daughter knows, and Josh Gad is worried, the same reason why Isla Fisher was worried, that this relationship is going to be over. So she comes back, and he clothes her, and she gets in the car, and she's terrified that this little girl is afraid of her and hates her. And the little girl, who equates talking to people through music, Isla Fisher showed her this, like, this track does this is how you say you feel, this is how you tell your dad how you feel. So the little girl looks back at her, and she puts in a CD, and the CD is for her, letting her know that she's okay with her being a werewolf. She understood the fact that she protected them, and she understands what she is. And the little girl even looks back at her and gives her a smile, which is a sigh of relief, as Isla Fisher sits up in the center of the car, and the little girl smiles and turns back and looks at her, and then we're treated to credits and the close. And I'm like, oh my God, you can't end it there. But they did. So, the series is beautiful. I love the moments. It's a lot crammed into 6 or 7 episodes. I think they're like an hour each or 45 minutes each. It's definitely better on streaming than something filled with commercials, because I absolutely loved it. And I'm going to give this, on a Game Ninja scale, 5 Ninja Stars out of 5. But on a 24K scale, this is platinum. This is a platinum series. This is the first platinum series of 2023 to me. The first platinum series. Wolf Like Me. Peacock original. Go and see it. Binge watch it if you can, because I couldn't stop watching. One of my biggest thing is, if I'm watching a series and I pick up my phone, I'm not interested, and I'm like kind of interested into it. If it makes me put down my phone, I'm interested and invested. The series has me. I was never on my phone from beginning to end. Great series. Out of the park. You have to watch it. I definitely recommend that you watch it. 100%. Great series. And I would support season 2 or 3 because I would love to see where the story goes now that everything's exposed, because his brothers and sisters don't know. But now the little Pack family does. And I would love to know what happens with the baby in her as well, because he said, I would protect you. I would protect the baby. Like, it's a very deep series because it asks the series asks you the question whether you can deal with the fact of being in a relationship with somebody like this. And normally 1,000 people would run away and say no, but the heart wants what the heart wants, and love conquers all. So even as a werewolf, she is aware of her love for them and does not harm them, which is awesome because you've kind of seen things like that in werewolf series and movies and stuff like that, but this is the first series that does it well. And I give a bravo to Josh Gad, Isla Fisher, and the little actress, which name escapes me right now, but I will put it in the comments if you guys are looking for it. It's like I said, it's a great series. It's funny where it needs to be. It's drama where it needs to be. And sometimes it's an outright, because the end turns into an outright horror movie. Outright horror. No comedy. It was outright. That whole scene, it gave me a feeling of American Werewolf in London, which today is 43 years old. Definitely, you need to see the series. From the Game Dojo, this is 24K, movies, reviews, and television shows. Stay tuned. This was Wolf Like Me. I'll check you guys out later.